Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another Instant Deck Tech. Today we're checking out a super spicy deck for Standard, Abzan Retreats. Recently took Dustin Summers to the top 8 of states in Tennessee, so congratulations to Dustin on his finish with the deck. Quick reminder before we break it all down, if you like this deck, want to see it made into videos, take a minute, click the subscribe button, the like button, leave a comment, anything you can do to support your deck. Because whichever deck is most popular will be made into videos the following week. Anyway, let's break down Abzan Retreats. So, as the name suggests, there are a lot of retreats. This deck is essentially a deck that wants to win by getting lands on the battlefield. That is the main synergy of the deck. So, retreats are enchantments that have landfall, and when the land enters the battlefield under your control, you get to choose two options. Retreat to Hagra can pump a creature, give it death touch, but most often I assume it is draining an opponent for 1. Retreat to Kazandu is usually gaining you life, but can also put a +1/+1 counter on a creature. And Retreat to Emiria is an army in the can. You play a land, you can get a 1/1 core ally token, or you can pump your entire team. I also stuck Secure the Waste on this slide, because Secure the Waste plus Retreat to Emiria is one of the main ways of finishing the game. End of your opponent's turn, you Secure the Waste, make a bunch of 1/1s. On your turn, you play 1, 2, 3 lands, and pump up all your 1/1 tokens and attack for lethal. The deck has some other sweet land synergies, though. So obviously, it wants to be getting lands on the battlefield as early and as often as possible to trigger the retreats. Well, to do this, it uses Oblivion Sower and the Gitrog monster. So Oblivion Sower is huge, a 5/8 for only 6 mana, plus when it enters the battlefield, you get to exile the top 4 cards of your opponent's library, and any lands that your opponent has in exile go onto the battlefield under your control. So it's a way to trigger your retreats 2, 3, even 4 times in a turn by getting all those lands from your opponent's exile zone. The Gitrog monster is also huge, and it can draw you cards by sacking lands, but the main thing is it allows you to play an additional land each turn, so instead of triggering your retreats only once, with just a Gitrog monster, you get to trigger each of your retreats twice each turn. And then Tireless Tracker doesn't really help you get lands, but it helps you generate card advantage when you're playing lands. If your idea is to get 2, 3 lands on the battlefield each turn, Tireless Tracker is going to give you 2 or 3 clue tokens each turn, because you get to investigate whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control. Then you can sack those clues to get more card advantage, draw more lands to keep churning through your deck, and make your Tireless Tracker huge. So this is kind of the big creatures that provide a lot of value. I mentioned multiple lands each turn. Apart from Oblivion Sower and the Gitrog monster, some of the lands themselves help do that. Evolving Wild is 2 lands all by itself, because this is a fetch land. You play it, you trigger all your landfall abilities, you crack it, get a basic land, put it on the battlefield, trigger all your landfall abilities again. Plus, it triggers the Gitrog monster when it goes in the graveyard. Drownyard Temple, sort of the Wombo combo with the Gitrog monster. You can sack it to Gitrog monster, pay 3, get it back from your graveyard, triggers all of your landfall abilities. Bladed Woodland, you can search for 2 basic lands, put it on the battlefield, so it's a lot of landfall triggers. And then Warp Landscape only lets you search for 1 land, but still another way to get multiple landfall triggers in a turn. The deck has a few other creatures. Nissa, Den Protector, Sidisi. As one-ofs, I'm assuming these are mostly value cards. Nissa does let you search for a forest, so it kind of fits into the plan. And then if you flip it around, her plus ability can put lands directly on the battlefield, so it does trigger landfall multiple times, or at least has potential to. The rest of the deck is just some removal, and then some Painful Truce to also help cycle through your deck. So you can generate a ton of card advantage in this deck between the Gitrog monster, Painful Truce, and the Tireless Tracker. The rest of the mana base, a ton of creature lands and the Westvale Abbeys. So you got some resilience, I guess, because your lands, not only are you playing them and getting multiple landfall triggers, but they can also attack. And then a bunch of basic lands, which you need to search out with Evolving Wilds and Bladed Woodland and such. Sideboard-wise, a bunch more removal. Some big creatures, Dragonlord Demoka can gain you some life and prevent your stuff from getting countered. Worldbreaker gets rid of annoying non-creature permanents and keeps coming back from the graveyard. Then some answers to specific problems. Orbs of Warding gives you hexproof. Hallowed Moonlight shuts down reanimation type effects and Collected Company. Infinite Obliteration can search out Big Eldrazi's, for example, out of your opponent's deck. And then Pulse of Murasa lets you get things back from the graveyard and gains you some more life. So anyway, that is Abzan Retreats for Standard. Looks super spicy. 11 retreats. You can't go wrong with that. That sounds like an awesome foundation for a sweet, sweet Standard deck. Anyway, That has been our instant deck tech for Abzan Retreats. I hope you enjoyed the video, and of course, I will talk to you soon.